Alright, Bureau of Standards, effective August 19th, 2016, Section Number 4, Version 1-2, Procedure 3-2, Liquid Petroleum Gas Bulk Plant Routine Inspection. The document detail of the procedures used for the conduct of the routine inspection of liquid petroleum gas plant facility located in the state of Florida, authorized by the Chapter 527 of the 061 Florida State Statute. Standard installation made the bulk facility and covered in 527 of the Florida State Statute, Rule 5J20, Florida Administration Code, National Property Association 58, 2011 edition, adopted the Rule 5J20-002, Florida Administration Code. All data observation recorded in the inspection worksheet. Pre-inspection documentation file procedure 1-2 for the approach for the contact regarding facility engine. Ask the manager supervisor to repair the findings of the close of the inspection. Note if the incident of the remote storage of the consumer storage is not uncommon, that no one to be on site. View all available licenses are accessible. Review emergency shut valve testing document. Remove the documentation orderization maintained. Review solenoid recertification documents to ensure the compliance. Verify the training documentation is maintained. Plant security. Observe the emergency contact information prominently posted. No signage must be posted on the edge of the business or entry into the plant. Phone number leads to a readable 4-inch letter in the height minimum. Verify enter the bulk facility security is unintended. Verify fence and minimum 6-foot fence and 2 meters of grass. 3.40 plant yard. Inspect the fire extinguisher for the verify the required with the size for the 18-pound BC and BNC rated, fully charged within 50 feet accessible. All points transfer annually. Inspection certified fire extinguisher company. Individuals current inspect electrical equipment, including switching lights, fixtures, outlets, equipment within the classified area conform with the maintained compliant with the National Fire Protection Association 5.622 containers. Container data, firm data plate is visible, legible, attached directly with the container. Note the data plate is typically attached to the end of the container or the top of the container area where the container appurtenancy are located. For containers over 4,000 gallons, inspection with internal liquid valves, automatic shutdown of internal valves. The liquid surface is provided using a thermal fire or actuation. Thermal setting sensing element internal valve. This list is within 5 feet of the internal valve. The sign of identified with the remote exchange emergency shut-off station, legible, visible at the point of transfer. The verbiage of the signage incorporate the word propane container liquid valve of the emergency shut-off valve. At least two block letters with the contrasting background. The internal valve of the open position operation not being with the conductive test valve of the operation clove of the valve of the remote emergency shutdown valve of the instruction with the clove of the valve. The valve should begin with the clove of the 1 minute with the multiple container valve of the once the first valve of the clove of the remaining valves will close and then a domino type effect. 4.3. If the valves are not in favor of the remote closure within 6 feet with a greater from the ground level, to verify the extension handles and letters and stair the platforms are on site with the access valve. Inspect with the container relief valve to confirm with the rain cap that are in place. If the valves are in obstructed drain operation openings are clear. Visually inspect the container surface and its improperly painted light really affected coating. Visual inspect the container sign of the corrosion pitting and the other shell damage which may compromise the integrity of the container wall. Verify the inspection walls of the container of the corrosion pitting and the other damage of the may compromise the integrity of the weld. Visually inspect the container leg with a foot ring with the damage that will affect the ability of the securely support of the container and the full capacity of the position in which it is designed to be installed. Inspection area of the container should be included with the observation corrosion will be affected with the integrity of the support. Damage of the welds containing the support of the container. The visual damage have been changed with the configuration of the design in which the support were attached to the container, such as bent or flattened support. 4.9. If the container is placed on the skids, concrete style with the other supports that are in contact with the container shell with the visually inspect the container surface support for damage or defects, inspection area of the container shall include. 4.9. If the container's construction is metal with the support shall be inspected with the brush of corrosion. Other damage will affect with the ability of the securely support with the container in full capacity. If the container support with the construction with the concrete with the support shall be inspected with the crack or chip with the deterioration of the damage that will affect its ability to securely support with the container with a full capacity. Visually inspect with the pad with the coating with the masonry saddles to ensure that there is no deterioration either. 4.9.4. Visually inspect with the container surface the area of the contact with the support with the rust of the corrosion. No, the ASME dock and cylinder construct for the deal with the non-suspect with the rust corrosion with the container surface with the common contact with the concrete cell. Therefore, protective coating and the padding is required with the section of the container. The most common method of protection is padding. Over time, the padding will deteriorate with the combination of air with the moisture in contact with the air to ultimately resolve the corrosion with the not easily available. 5.0. Piping in system. Inspect the evidence of the recent pipe change. Inspect the new piping tubing valve and complying with the table 1 and 2. Services minimum pressure, higher container pressure at 350 psi gauge or 400 psi gauge rating. Liquid petroleum over operating pressure over 125 degrees at or below container pressure 250 psi gauge minimum. Liquid petroleum gas vapor operating measure 125 120 psi gauge. You have liquid welded braze, threaded welded, welded and braze, vapor less than 120 psi gauge, threaded welded braze, vapor less than 120 psi gauge, welded or braze, threaded welded, braze, schedule 80. Our inspection evidence of the hose flex connector replacement ensure that they are compliant with the National Fiber Association 58596 specification. Visually inspect the observation, rust control, damage which will affect the integrity of the piping system. Verify the coating that is maintained and compliant with the rule 5J 20025 Florida Administration Code 30 inches each side of all the shutoff valve, liquid valve red, vapor valves yellow, water valves blue. 5.5 Inspection piping leak in accordance with the departments of adopted for further detection of leaks observed with the inspector shall contact with the supervisor to discuss the issue and stop use order liquid transfer area with the bulk transport. Inspect with the evidence of the chain with the instrument of the bulkhead, emergency shop valve, the backflow with the check valve that are installed with the fixed piping, so the break of the result of the pull away will occur on the hose and swivel the pipe type of the side of the connection, leaving the valves piping on the plant side contact intact. Emergency shutoff valve, remote actuators, black flow check valves, ensure the back change of the being maintained. Verify the clearly identified accessible minimum 25 to maximum 100-foot path of the egress not operated with the use of the program temperature sensitive element with the actuate the valve in the case of the emergency. Supplemental temperature sensitive element but it is not part of the valve that operates at maximum temperature 150 degrees. Be connected to the valve within 5 feet of the nearest hose and swivel the type of the piping connected with the line with the valve and install the element is not painted with the code with the finish of the manufacturer. Note 625 inspection enforced open the inoperable emergency shutoff valve. This would object to the mechanism that forcibly hold the emergency shut valve in the open position, which would have to be manually remove the emergency shutoff valve to close. Inspect hoses and assembly with the defect and damage. Inspect hoses and assemblies following. The damage of the outer cover that are exposed to the reinforcement, kink, flatten hose, soft spots, bulges, and the hose couplings that have slipped down the hose, the damage missing parts of the loose bolts, leakage or other permissible leakage. No hoses must be removed with the application of National Property Association 58596. Inspectors shall contact the supervisor to discuss the issue, stop use for the order, hose the damage, leakage observed. Inspect electrical equipment includes switch to the light fixture for the outlets equipment within classified areas confirmed maintain compliant with the National Fiber Association 58622. Confirm the containers of storage of these areas. Those areas are refilling at a minimum of 10 feet from the point of transfer. 70 cylinder dog. Inspect the hose described in 6.3. Check scales to ensure the balance is 0. Inspect fire extinguisher with a 3.1. Inspect electrical equipment including switch to light fixture outlets equipment within the classified area. Maintain and comply with the National Fiber Association 58622. 8.1 Rail Risers. Inspect the hose with the described in 6.3. Visually inspect with the emergency shutoff valve of the railroad tanker car transfer system for the damage defects that would restrict the operation. Inspect quick connection damage. Inspect all the valve of the operation sign damage and leaks. Check a leak in accordance with the department established procedure for the detection of the leaks. Inspect with the piping per piping procedure section 5 procedure. If the rail car on site verify the check black signage are in place. And that was your Florida Department of Agricultural Commission Bureau of Standards Liquid Petroleum Gas Bulk Plant Routine Inspection.